And good morning, everybody. It is Wonderful Wednesday with Marc Marshall. Now, Marc, I met you a couple of years ago, of course, at a hypnosis conference. And, you are such a genuine, kind person. And I love it. You are so interested in everybody. And I'm always noticed that you'd never really talk about so much about yourself. So, and I always ask you questions. You keep turning it back round. So, do you know what, Marc? I'm going to find out about you. So, Marc, but I do know you've been doing hypnosis for a very long time. So, tell us about you, Marc, please.
First, Claudia, thank you, and I'm really grateful that you've invited me because one, I really appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I love your energy. So I'm going to start with that. I've been doing hypnosis a really long time. In fact, as I like to say when I get on stage, I do hypnosis. Well, I've been hypnotizing people for more than 50 years. I started hypnotizing when I was 16. I actually became interested in hypnosis when I was 11, when I saw my first stage hypnosis show, and I saw parents of friends of mine who I knew well, on that stage doing crazy stuff that we don't even do anymore, eating onions that were so pungent that when he took them out of the bag, your eyes in the audience were watering, and they thought it was the best tasting apples. We don't do that stuff anymore. Or putting needles through arms, and these are things that we just don't do. And the human bridge, So with that in mind, what happened was I became so fascinated with the power of the human mind. I started to read everything I could, because obviously there was no internet back in my day. So I'd go to an occult bookstore. I'd go to universities and library and large city libraries, and go into the stacks and read everything I could, anything I could. So one Saturday afternoon, I'm on a youth trip. I'm 16 years old, and we get around to talking, and the conversation leads to hypnosis. And I said, yeah, I can do that. And I hypnotized my first volunteer. Now, at the time, being self-taught, I didn't know if he was faking or if he was doing for real, except I'd put in a post-hypnotic suggestion. I touched my left ear with my right hand. You're going to bark like a dog. We're sitting at dinner 3 nights later. I'm talking to this girl next to me, and I accidentally do this, and he starts barking. And I go, I really did it. And everybody who had been there starts laughing. And that was it. At that moment, I knew that I had actually hypnotized him, and I had just did not stop from that point on. And I hypnotized, what happens is, as you do these things, you get invited to parties. I was hypnotizing people. I was hypnotizing in college. I was, in the dorms and dorm parties. And, then you go to a birthday party for somebody, and you get to talking, and you hypnotize them, and then you wind up getting invited. Hey, I saw you at John's party. That was pretty cool. Would you do that at mine? And eventually it leads to becoming a stage hypnotist. So that's where my stage work went. I also do clinical hypnosis, and I specialize in trauma work, PTSD, sexual trauma, sexual abuse, and addictions. I do everything else, but that's what people around the world see me for. And so I became in this place of not sure, am I a stage hypnotist? Am I a clinical hypnotist? I love both, because and what I've come to realize in the last year and a half was somebody said to me, if you had to choose, if a gun was held to your head and you could only do one, which would it be? And the answer was, I love being on the stage, and I do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't see the necessarily the problem with doing both, because what you're doing is you're showing people on the stage, this is the power of your mind. And this is, and if you can say, talk like a baby again, or pretend that you're riding a horse, or, you know, playing a trumpet, doing whatever, then why also wouldn't you be able to imagine yourself speaking at a presentation and stepping into yourself and doing that brilliantly? Why wouldn't you also be able to hit the with your golf club and not have the yips? Why, you know, because it's the power of the mind. So actually, I think they go hand in hand.
They do go hand in hand, and I can tell you that the stage is a 90-minute infomercial for clinical work. I mean, and I've said, and I've had this discussion.
Well,
yeah, and that's exactly the point, when it is done well.
yeah.
And this is the point that I really wanted to make, is that until recently, the comedy stage hypnotist was looked down upon by the clinical community. And what I used to say, because I was wearing both hats, what I used to say to those colleagues was, you know, very honestly, if it wasn't for the stage hypnotist, none of you would have a business. And the reality is that for the vast majority of people in I know the US, their first experience with hypnosis is at a show like mine. Mm-hmm. They'll see me at a fair, they'll see me at a comedy club, they'll see me at a party, and whatever the case may be, that's where they get the first exposure. And very, very often, they will come up to me afterwards. Can you help me do X, Y, or Z, or clear this in my life? And the reality is until we got the tools that we can to do online remote sessions, when I used to travel the country and do a show, I would go to a community and know who the local hypnotist was that I was comfortable referring people to. Now, with Zoom, I no longer do that. I'll here's the information. Let's set you up with an appointment and let's do the work. But that's where, for me, the conferences were so important, is to develop the relationships that I have, to meet people like you. And you know, it's like, I know you work with pediatrics and juveniles. I don't. And so it's easy for me to, when I get
thank you. You have referred to me. Thank you.
And I do referrals, and I love to have referral network. And I think that's so important for us as a community in hypnosis, to have a network of people, both that we can bounce ideas off of, that we can try and develop new ideas, and to refer out to, because we're not all doing the same thing and we don't do it all the same way. And so I may not do that. I may not have this, that may not be my area of expertise. I may not do specialty work in, I don't know, dental hypnosis. And so I need to know who I have in my file of, I can refer to them. And so it's really important for me.
Yeah.
No. And that's why I'm so fascinated with the bunny process, because I think it's such a great program, and it just fascinates me. And you light up every time you talk about it and every time you present on it. And I know the power of this program. And so having someone like you as a spokesperson for the community, for hypnosis, because it does carry forward. It does bring us all into another space of helping.
Yes, because that, I believe, is what we're all about, is wanting to help people. That's the baseline of it. We all want to help make a difference. We're all singing from the same hymn sheet there. So it's so that's really important. But Marc, tell us more, because you do travel around and you do shows, and then when you are there, you can help people as well. So whereabouts do you mainly go in America?
Quite literally everywhere and anywhere.
Wow.
And I do international work as well. I mean, you'll see me at casinos, you'll see me at fairs, you'll see me at municipal festivals, you'll see me at corporate events, private parties. Grads and proms are a big part of what most stage hypnotists do, and I do my fair share of those. Um, it is again, that is the place that people are first exposed to hypnosis. I've got an event coming up at a school, and I tend to work with certain private schools, the higher end private boarding schools. And what I do with a lot of my schools, not only do I like to get in there and do speak to the psychology classes or speak to the seniors, because what I find in a lot of these places, these are high achieving, highly motivated students. And there's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety that these students are facing.
Yes.
And what we find, unfortunately, is that the burnout rate in the first year of college is so high.
Yeah.
Because they're brilliant, they're academically brilliant, but they don't have the tools to manage stress and anxiety and just center themselves and just learn how to release that. And so part of the work that I do when I go in and I do what a lot of times it's called edutainment, where I speak to them about the power of the mind, present them and give them and teach them tools to be mindful, to relax, to reduce and relieve stress and anxiety, to be present in the moment, which is the biggest problem that I think every one of my clients has, is they come to me, they're dealing with stress and anxiety or depression, if we boil it down to its roots. So they're either stuck in the past or worried about a future that hasn't arrived yet. And so by being present in the moment and teaching them mindfulness and presence, they get to a space of being able to make a change in this moment, because that's where they're the only place they're powerful. And so I do that with my students. I teach them, and I've got one of these coming up in a few weeks, and I'm so excited because I do enjoy that aspect of being able to do the talk, and then either later that night or the next night, when depending on the process, do a full comedy hypnosis show for them. And so I've got that coming up besides the normal rate.
Oh, good. Fun. So,
Um,
Marc, I tell you what, anybody listening to this right now, with your experience, and I'm going to ask the questions because I can, but I'm going to let's dispel together. Let's dispel some of the myths that people think about hypnosis and stage hypnosis. Okay, because so if I ask you this question, say I'm not a hypnotist, and I say, well, I don't want to do it because I'm going to get stuck in hypnosis.
Yeah, that is the number one issue that I hear from people. And the answer is that that's only happened one time. That was last night, and I hope they come out of it in the next week or two. But very honestly,
I know you'll scare people.
in over 4,000 years of hypnosis, and hypnosis is over 4,000 years old. I mean, that nobody's ever gotten stuck in hypnosis. And I say to people, can you get stuck in sleep?
Yeah.
And the answer is no, you cannot.
No.
And you cannot get stuck in hypnosis. Hypnosis was created or first discovered the Egyptians and the Greeks. And if we look at the pyramids, everybody knows about the burial chamber in the pyramids. But there was also the sleep chamber. And that's where people went to meditate and chant and pray. And in that chant process is a hypnotic realm. And
it is. Praying is.
And we get into a hypnotic loop, and that's where healing took place. And that was the first place that it came about. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so it was very much part of that process. So yeah, no, you cannot get stuck in hypnosis is the answer.
You can't. I say to people, well, at some point your bladder will wake you up and you will need to, wake up, move and go to the toilet. So.
Well, okay. So I'm going to, I'll throw something at you. my normal show is about between 75 and 90 minutes long. Okay.
Mhm.
I have had clients who have had wanted a 2-hour show. Now, a 2-hour show is really a long show. And so what I do in those kind of shows is I will hypnotize my group of volunteers, and I will have an intermission, and I will wake them up, but but they're still in hypnosis so that they're interacting with the crowd during the intermission in the lobby. So they're trying to get signatures and selfies because these are all this. I put the audience are all stars, and you want to have it. Or you're trying, your girlfriend is the garbage can, and you're trying to pick her up, or you're sweeping up, and then I bring them back on stage. And what I would do in that case is, now that the audience is seen, because I want to keep the best of the best. I want the best volunteers up there, so people understand everything about it is real. These are people I've never met before. And that's another question I get: is it real? Oh yeah, it's very real. It's very real. And so what I'll do is then give the audience members who were hesitant to come up a chance. I'll invite you up to fill some slots, and if you want to go into hypnosis, and I'll put them into a rapid induction. I'll drop them into hypnosis very quickly, and then I'll continue the show with the original volunteers and the new volunteers. And so it gives people an opportunity to experience hypnosis, to see hypnosis, and to then come and play as well.
Yeah. No, and again, I think one of our colleagues says you're making it up. Only the dummies get stuck in hypnosis.
Right.
But you can't. But to everybody, you cannot get stuck in hypnosis.
Cannot get stuck in hypnosis.
It is a natural phenomenon that we all go into every day anyway. So what's another question that
well, I want to go to one point, because this is the other thing that people will ask me. They say, how long does hypnosis last? And what they're referring to is the suggestions, the work that we as clinicians will do with them. And what I tell them is forever. Once we've changed that subconscious script, it's gone. The old script is gone. It's broken. We've destroyed it and written a new script. So hypnosis, the suggestions will last and until they're removed.
So because it's a belief system,
Absolutely.
It's because we've been in that belief for so long, say of a negative one and a positive one, and that's okay. So you might want to keep those ones, not a problem. And it's just, what else can you add in, or can we sort of fractionate if there's a negative one? What can we change? Or
the other question that people ask, and their bit of fear, is telling me their deepest, darkest secret.
Oh, yeah.
And I say that very simply to them. My dispel on that is, if you wouldn't tell it to me as we're talking here now, you're not going to tell it to me then, because the subconscious mind has a prime directive, and its prime directive is to protect us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to protect us. Will I do something crazy or stupid? Well, yeah, you might.
If you want to.
If you want to. If you want to, yeah. Yeah, you're not going to do something against your closely held beliefs or morals. Now.
And you wouldn't go up and volunteer anyway if you didn't fancy partaking.
Absolutely.
So we can't. And if somebody's, and like you say, if they're not, because not everybody is a great hypnotic subject straight away. So those people, they do, it isn't, it's not, because generally I expect you, I don't know, say you have 15 people up, you'll probably send at least 5 back because they just haven't fallen.
I've had people who have been on my stages before, and sometimes there's something going on in their life, and they're distracted, or something has taken them out of it, and I've sent them back. That happens. It's just like, sometimes people have difficulty falling asleep because their mind is wandering. They're going somewhere else, or they're not following. And the fact is that everybody is hypnotizable. If you couldn't be hypnotized, you couldn't learn. And I've said that, and I've demonstrated that. And so the point is, people say, well, what does hypnosis feel like? And because that's the biggest thing. They want to know, am I in hypnosis? Am I not in hypnosis? And they want to know what hypnosis feels like. And I tell, just close your eyes and count backwards in your mind. And as I continue to talk, and that's the feeling of hypnosis. There is no feeling of hypnosis. It's not like being zonked, or you're not zonked. You're not a zombie. You're not unconscious. In fact, it's a state of super focus and super concentration. And so what I say becomes their instant reality as that, but that's the place I'm putting them in.
So if anything, in a stage hypnosis, you're checking on people's power of their concentration.
Absolutely. and as we say, look, you know, if you're dumber than a box of rocks or you're stoned out of your face, I can't hypnotize you.
No.
And why would you want to be?
No. You know? If you're stoned out of your face, you wouldn't need to be.
Exactly right.
So, yeah, no, it's very, very, very interesting. But what's next for you right now, Mark? What have you got on the horizon?
I'll be at Sunshine City Comedy Club on March 8th, and then I will be. I've got a whole list of schools and events. I'll be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on Memorial Day weekend at the Big Laughs Comedy Club. That's coming up.
So is that all on your website? Have we got the people find you if they want to book you?
I have my website is hypnomark.com, and my ticket site is 541tickets.com. And the 541 tickets is where I have the links to all my ticket sales, and you can get there.
We'll put those in the links anyway, in the comments for everybody.
The other thing I've gotten into and love doing these days is I'm now in the middle of finishing 2 books. My book Perception Equals Reality, which is over my shoulder here. Yeah, come on, fingers.
Oh yeah.
Show up.
Okay. Oh yes, I can see it with the green.
Available on Amazon and Kindle. Is about. It's all based upon the reality that we have, that we create. We create our own realities, and you know, if we focus on the negative, that's what we bring into our life. That's what we're going to see. You know, we're only able to focus on 126 bits of information out of more than 2 billion bits that hit us every moment. And so if we change that 126 bits, we change our whole perception, our whole ability to deal. And in Perception Equals Reality, I give people workable exercises that they can do to change their life, to change their focus, to get out of their stuck states. And it's really been rewarding to get the responses that I have from people who have read it, and from peers who have read it, who have shared that with me. So I invite people to do that. It's a lot of fun. And
get all of those links. Don't worry, we'll get all of those links together, Mark. So, but yeah, so you've got a lot going on, and I love that, because that'll keep you out of mischief then.
Why would you want to keep me out of mischief? I enjoy mischief as I hop along at my place. Yeah, I look. I invite people to explore who they are, and to do that, come to my show and do that. Come to find out what you want to change in your life. Because you may not even be aware that you want what it is that you want to change. And that's okay, because you may not consciously be aware, but your subconscious mind knows exactly what it needs to change.
It knows everything.
Right. So working with you, working with me, working with people in our community who do these things can help just expand. There's not stronger. I believe there's not a stronger modality for change than what it is that we do in hypnosis.
I agree. Here we go. We love our hypnosis. And so, Mark, thank you for being on, because I'm sure we could rabbit on forever. So thank you everybody for watching, and it's goodbye from me, Claudia Rickard, and it's goodbye from Marc Marshall. So
thank you, Claudia.
Thank you for watching.